and welcome to another MotorTrend comparison. You join us as we conclude an epic two-day adventure, crawling out of the Mojave desert floor and reaching one of the peaks of the Eastern Sierra. And we've done it in 3 mid-sized trucks. Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about the 3 vehicles we chose?
Gladly. So I'm sitting in the Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO. It is the most off-road capable version of the Tacoma, new for the first time since before YouTube was a thing. Hybrid powertrain, 8-speed automatic. That is the Colorado ZR2 Bison. It is basically the most off-road capable version of our 2023 truck of the year. Lastly, we have the Jeep Gladiator Mojave, updated for 2024. It's Jeep's desert-rated off-roader.
Brilliant. So, Jared, take us through some of the off-road specific elements of these 3 packages.
Let's start with the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. The Gladiator Mojave is Jeep's first desert-rated Gladiator. So this is Jeep's go-fast mid-size pickup truck. This thing has Fox shocks in the front and the back. The important thing is the jounce bumpers in the front to help handle those hard hits in the desert when you're going fast. It also has off-road plus mode. So when you're in 4-wheel drive, that really lets you have a lot of fun playing in the dirt. Not to mention airbags, new screens, and power adjustable seats.
A few years ago, we took the Gladiator Rubicon on the Mojave Trail. The truck was miserable, beat you to crap, just really unhappy. It did everything we needed to do, but that fixed a lot of those flaws.
They did everything they needed to do to really take the rough edges out of higher speed travel through the dirt.
I like going fast.
Everyone loves going fast in the dirt.
So we've got 2 more fast trucks here. Tell me about this guy.
So the Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO is Toyota's go fast, go hard Tacoma. Big ticket item on TRD PRO is the Fox shocks. Similar to the Mojave, but these Fox shocks have manual adjustments. You can click in each shock in each corner to your preference in ride stiffness. You're working with ARB bumpers and recovery points. So it has skid plates underneath, rock rails on the side.
Yeah, it doesn't have crazy seats too, Jared?
We have thoughts about Toyota's new seats,
which are called isodynamic performance front seats, all of which to say the seats have a couple of shock absorbers, right? And there's a pretty significant amount of movement from side to side.
It's not quite like an 18-wheeler or like air sprung seat, but it does definitely have a bit of cushiness to it.
Yeah.
And just like the shocks at each corner of the suspension, these are also manually adjustable.
More on the seats anon, but first, let's finish off our 3-truck rundown with the Chevrolet.
Joe, you're not just sitting on any normal Colorado ZR2.
That's right. This
This is the Colorado ZR2 Bison. This is the most off-road equipped Colorado ZR2 you can get. You already know the ZR2 has multimatic shocks at each corner. A locking front differential, ZR2 has a locking rear differential. Huge for off-road. Bison adds to that package massive 35-inch tires, and it fits them perfectly. They didn't just smush them under there. These fenders are specific to Bison. Those tires articulate, full lock, everything. They don't rub, they're perfect.
They even planned the current gen Colorado around the Bison package. They moved the front axle forward to accommodate the 35-inch tires.
So 35-inch tires were not an afterthought. This truck was built around big ground clearance and big tires. But what else does Bison mean? That means heavy-duty armor. You're looking at AEV bumpers front and back and a full suite of skid plates everywhere from the rock sliders to the pinion guard, transfer case engine. There are very few parts of this truck you can't drag across a rock.
Which brings us on to the fact that we really have, I think it's fair to say, beaten these 3 trucks up over the course of our journey. So let's get into it.
The most interesting thing about yesterday's activity was it was rock crawling. Each one of these trucks is at its base set up to go faster in the dirt. Not every truck is necessarily outfitted for rock crawling, but rock crawling we did do.
I started in the Tacoma. Now, I haven't done much, read any, rock crawling before, so that really was my first experience. And I think on reflection, it was probably the right truck to start in. Pretty decent suite of cameras, but I think we all agreed that Chevrolet has the best camera setup, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought the Tacoma was pretty good in the canyons. I liked the sway bar disconnect. That was really nice. It felt capable. It didn't feel too big. I do wish it had more ground clearance. I also wish it were a little better armored, perhaps, although it is in one piece, aside from this piece behind me.
Hats off to Toyota. The rock sliders, the bumpers, and the skid plates underneath the Tacoma. They're legit they work.
I think the thing that stood out most though is the new powertrain. The electric motor torque, because it just fills in that gap between off idle before the turbo spools up. It gets you up obstacles without too much challenge. That torque multiplication also, if you're in low range, really helps. I think this easily, I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but has the best engine of all three trucks here.
Sounds good too.
It does sound good. Don't know if it's real, but I don't care.
Stepping up into the Bison is huge. You actually have to climb up into this thing. Those 35-inch tires translate directly into ground clearance.
We were well into the canyon by that point, and coming through some pretty hard obstacles. Jared, you pointed out basically a sheer wall, and we're like, you should climb that.
Yeah. Drive up that.
And I was like, there's no way I'm making it up there. But you know, locking the diffs, dropped into low range, and it just literally really goated up a hill I wouldn't have walked up. Like it's nuts.
You got up it before I managed to get my iPhone out to take a photo of you failing.
Yeah, I fully expected to fail.
Impressive.
I literally called on the radio, I'm gonna do something stupid. Everyone come look.
Well, this truck is the off-road cheat code for rock crawling.
Really
You
is.
can drive it with one hand, sipping your coffee with the other. It'll go over the rocks. It'll go up the hills. It'll do the thing.
Those shocks do a great job too at eliminating a lot of the, I don't know, the impacts of off-roading.
We should also talk about the interiors of these three trucks, right? Tacoma being the newest vehicle that we have here. It's packaged pretty nicely on the inside. Obviously the seats, they're the big thing that Toyota really wanted us to sort of take notice of. There's a good amount going on, you know, grab handles in all the right spots.
Tons of storage. Like,
loads of
I
storage.
feel like you run out of storage in the other two trucks quite quickly.
Yes.
Like
yes.
we've loaded it down with gear and suitcases and everything,
Nice.
and yeah.
This is definitely the most luxurious interior, right? You sort of step up into it, I should say, and get that sense of, oh, okay, a little bit of leather. Oh, there's some little, you know, shiny black plastic on the volume knob. It's all a little bit sort of car-esque, nonetheless rugged. And then we have the Gladiator, which is trying, but it was built to do a thing, and I suppose in that respect, it's probably the most pure example of the vehicles here, of something that was built with a purpose in mind, and it does that admirably. So it felt a lot more analog, a lot more maybe agricultural.
Yeah, this has the least amount of modes of all the trucks here. It's just off-road plus, and it relies on you to kind of know what you're gonna do.
One important thing about the Gladiator is it was faced with the challenge of maintaining its Jeep DNA.
Yeah.
But how do we make Jeep DNA go faster through the dirt? You think of Jeeps and you're billy goating over rocks real slow, and this one's meant to do the exact opposite of that. One huge difference between the Gladiator and these other two trucks is the front axle. That is a live front axle. These two trucks have independent front suspension. You'll feel a lot more articulation in the rocks, a lot more control when that axle is flexing over obstacles. Sometimes we wish we could disconnect the front sway bar, but that's a Rubicon feature. This is desert rated. We rock crawled a truck that maybe wasn't totally built for rock crawling. It can still do it.
Right.
It has the armor.
And in fact, they all did it.
It didn't get stuck on a rock. We didn't get buried in the sand. We didn't get buried in the snow.
We starved ourselves of speed. We really sort of paid the piper. We paid penance to the rock crawling gods all morning, and then it got to mid-afternoon. We crawled up out of that final, really kind of daunting, but again, the trucks handled it very well, rock wall, and then what did we find on the other side?
So the desert just opened up in front of us. It was a beautiful sunset, but we don't care about that. What we care about is the speed that we got to carry through the desert. And these trucks are built to do that. The Gladiator has larger diameter shock tubes, remote reservoir shock tubes to keep the fluid cool. For better damping, it has the hydraulic jounce bumpers to keep the axle tubes from smashing into the frame. Both of these trucks also have hydraulic jounce bumpers. Those are huge when you're going through whoops and you think you're about to hit a G out. You have a hydraulic jounce bumper to keep things from smacking into each other. And we felt that in each one of these trucks.
Oh, yeah.
We dove into the whoops hard, and in situations where you're bracing yourself for impact, it doesn't happen. These trucks can do it.
Which were you most comfortable going fast in, off-road?
I had the unique pleasure of taking the Bison on the higher speed dirt sections yesterday, and it works. 35-inch tires and those Multimatic shocks, they are
magical.
So I felt bottom out events in both of these trucks. I couldn't find it in the Bison. I could not find the limit of that suspension.
And of course, over here in the TRD Pro, it's all about that little hybrid boost, right? It's all about that little 48 horsepower kick in the pants, which I think we all had great joy kind of utilizing. We rounded off the day with some fun sandburns and all that kind of stuff. And then this morning we woke up and really it was all about the climb. We wanted to get up pretty much as high up and as far into Eastern Sierra as we could before these trucks started to come unstuck, and snow was what we'd set ourselves the target of finding. Now, let's talk about that. What was it like for you guys this morning?
It was pretty fun. It got challenging pretty much right away because we were surprised by that V-notch we came across, which I didn't expect. And so, dragging the Gladiator's belly up, that wasn't the most fun. But once we got up here and opened up before we got up into the mountains, it's great. It's fun to carry some speed in the trail, feel like you're making progress until one of us got a flat.
Yeah, I did come a cropper slightly in the Tacoma. So after that, it did start getting a little bit more rocky. And as I said to you both, I was a little bit gun shy after, after I'd, busted one tire. So I was hyper vigilant, hyper aware. But again, that is where the suite of cameras came into action. That's where getting the truck out of 4 high, putting it into 4 low, even as we started to get up onto the the slightly more shifting rocks. That's where that really helps. We endeavored to take these trucks as far as we could in 2 high before switching to 4 high, before then going 4 low and locking diffs and all that kind of stuff. And that was a really interesting process. We did that pretty methodically at each different terrain that we came across, right? So that was good. And I think that all of the trucks performed pretty admirably.
It's interesting to see what the truck will do and how traction control affects the truck in 2 high, in 4-wheel drive high range, and then also in 4-wheel drive low range.
Also interesting seeing what they will not let you use. Like the Chevy, in 2 high, you can use a lock of your diff if you wanted to. In the other 2 trucks, you can't lock any diffs until you're in 4 low. And in Toyota, you can't use most drive modes until you're in 4 low. It's a different philosophy. I don't know. Personally, for me, I prefer, if I have a tool, I want to be able to use it when I need to use it. It's hard to see out of this thing. It's weird because it doesn't seem like it would be, but I don't know what it is about the hood line and maybe the window size. But the Jeep's easiest to see out of. Chevy's a good middle ground between the 2. But
and this also has the sunroof, right? Which adds, or rather
takes away
a little bit of headroom. So yeah, we certainly feel like that's a consideration. As we climbed up out of that gorge into the trees, and of course we were looking for snow and mud, and we found some, right?
We did. We did run into that crazy white stuff that we have in the mountains.
Just over 9,000 feet.
Enough talking, let's hand out some gold stars. Jared, why don't you tell me which of these 3 trucks placed 3rd in our comparison test?
So I am sitting in the 3rd place truck, the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. That's not to say this truck did poorly in any way, but compared to the other 3, I think that solid axle on the front does hold it back when it's being compared to trucks with independent front suspension.
That plus its V6, which didn't really have any torque till up high. And also the Jeep's about 70K is equipped, which is the priciest here by a large margin. I don't know if any of us feel that quality difference.
You have to be really committed to the idea of owning not only a Jeep, but a Jeep which is also a pickup truck.
Yeah, I love Jeeps, but I mean, it's a bit rich for my blood.
If you are a Jeep enthusiast and you want the Jeep truck that can go fast through the dirt, this is by all means the truck for you. If you compare this truck to everything else playing in the space, you've got to start making a few concessions when it comes to tools and speed of travel.
So, which of these 2 trucks, Christian, came in 2nd place?
That'd be the Taco. It's a drastically improved truck. It's significantly better. Great powertrain, good off-road tech. I think the things that held it back for us was how restrictive some of the software was for off-roading. In some cases, it held us back from getting where we needed to go. We had to stop, fiddle with it a bit. Visibility wasn't great. Also, it's pricey. You don't get as much for your money as you do in what our winner is.
Yes, of course, that means the winner is the Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison, which pretty much did best at everything, right, boys?
The off-road cheat code.
It honestly might be the best off-road value on the market. It might be the best off-roader under 100K today, too. What couldn't this thing do?
And it's way under 100K, right?
Yeah, this one, as equipped, fully loaded, was 64. I mean, we were talking, you can purchase a sunroof, which for me hit me in the head. You can cut down options and get down to 55 to 57K or so.
And 35-inch tires from the factory. The armor from the factory, huge. In places that other trucks and SUVs don't armor. There's a skid plate on the pinion. That's massive when you're crawling through rocks. And we cannot forget the multimatic shocks. Those are some of the best shocks in the space.
It's hard to make a truck that does what we did off-road, that drive well on pavement, but these multimatic dampers really help.
Everything from head toss when you're driving up a curb, up substantial speed.
Or driving a canyon road back on pavement. Like, it's good at that too. It's just shockingly capable.
Doing the off-road driving that you just might want to do on a Saturday afternoon, this truck can do it. And it can also do the hardcore stuff that you might only dream of doing. It can do that too.
So there you have it. 3 spectacular mid-size off-road rated go-fast trucks, but only one came out as the winner of this comparison test, and it is the 2024 Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison.